AMD has a message for its customers. You're confused, not them, you. In just 2 days, AMD posted 3 different statements, corrected itself twice, and somehow convinced itself that we're the problem. What started as a routine GPU driver update spiraled into a masterclass in corporate miscommunication, the kind that leaves even loyal fans questioning whether this company knows what it's doing. And honestly, maybe we're not confused at all. Maybe AMD just doesn't like mirrors. The story begins innocently enough with a driver update. On October 29th, AMD released Adrenaline Edition 25.10.2. Buried deep in the patch notes, beneath all the jargon about Vulkan extensions and new games support, was one line that set the internet on fire. New game support is available for Radeon RX 7000 and 9000 series graphics products. That tiny omission, no mention of the still relevant RX 5000 or 6000 series, implied that AMD was quietly ending full game optimization for thousands of GPUs still being sold today. For a company already fighting an uphill PR battle against Nvidia, this was like stepping on a rake in front of a live audience. The confusion didn't stop there. The same release notes also claimed that USB-C power delivery was disabled on the RX 7900 series, meaning your $900 GPU suddenly couldn't charge or power devices. Reviewers and users erupted. Within hours, AMD scrambled to retract the statement, saying it was incorrect information. And yet, they didn't stop at one correction. They gave one explanation to a German publication, another to Tom's Hardware, and a third in a blog post. Each version contradicted the last. So within 48 hours, AMD managed to clarify its clarification, about its clarification. That's not crisis management, that's corporate improv. After all that chaos, AMD finally released a statement saying there had been some confusion. Translation? We refuse to take the blame. It's a move straight from the corporate playbook. Passive voice, vague phrasing, and a sprinkle of gaslighting. When companies say, "We understand there's been confusion," what they really mean is, "You interpreted our mistake correctly, and that's the problem." Gamers aren't confused, they're frustrated. Because when you spend hundreds of dollars on hardware, you expect honesty, not linguistic gymnastics. AMD could have just said, "We made a mistake." Instead, they blamed the audience for reading their own words too accurately. Behind the spin, the real story is simple. AMD moved its older architectures, RDNA1 and RDNA2, into what it calls maintenance mode. It sounds harmless, even responsible, but here's what that really means. No more day zero game optimizations. No guarantee of performance tuning for new releases. Only essential security and bug fixes. In plain English, your GPU will still run, but it'll slowly fall behind. The irony, many of these GPUs are still shipping today, inside laptops, handhelds, and even next-gen consoles. It's like selling a brand new car, then announcing the factory's shutting down next week. Let's be clear, this doesn't just affect desktop gamers. The Ryzen Z1 and Z2 chips used in handhelds like the ROG Ally and Lenovo Legion Go are based on RDNA2. The PS5 and Xbox Series consoles, also RDNA2. Even AMD's newest mobile processors, the Ryzen 9000HX line announced this year, use RDNA2 integrated graphics, which means AMD just downgraded the driver support for its own current products. And they did it mid-generation. For a company that loves to talk about long-term innovation, that's a self-inflicted credibility wound. Unfortunately, this isn't the first time AMD has abandoned its customers early. The Vega cards? Gone within 2 years. Radeon 7? Forgotten before its second birthday. Even the Fury series, once hailed as a Titan killer, vanished into driver obscurity almost overnight. The pattern's obvious. AMD builds great hardware, markets it like a miracle, then drops support when the next shiny toy arrives. It's the tech version of a deadbeat parent who keeps promising they'll change. Compare that to Nvidia. Love them or hate them, their driver support is legendary. The GTX 1080 Ti, launched in 2017, received its final game-ready driver update in October 2025. 7.5 years of active game support, followed by a promised 3 years of security updates. Nvidia may be busy turning GPUs into AI servers, but at least they don't forget the gamers who funded that empire. Intel too has been impressively consistent, fixing over 600 issues in under a year for its Arc line. Meanwhile, AMD can't get through a weekend without rewriting a press release. AMD's latest blog framed the decision as a positive move, calling it a dedicated, stable branch that allows engineers to move faster. Translation: we're doing less work and calling it innovation. Stable sounds safe, but it's really just slower. Think of it like software retirement, wrapped in buzzwords to keep shareholders calm. Because if AMD actually said maintenance mode, people would panic. The phrase stable branch is a marketing tranquilizer. It soothes without solving. And that's what makes this whole thing feel dishonest. Not the technical change itself, but the attempt to sell regression as progress. AMD isn't just competing with Nvidia's hardware, it's competing with Nvidia's reputation. When you buy a GPU, you're buying future support. And right now, Nvidia's track record says 7 years minimum. AMD says, until we get bored. That's devastating for long-term trust. Especially now, when AMD was finally gaining momentum after years of being the underdog. For the first time in a decade, gamers were giving them the benefit of the doubt. And just when people started to believe that maybe this time would be different, AMD reminded everyone why another massive disappointment became a meme in the first place. The tragedy here isn't the technical decision, it's the messaging. AMD could have explained this clearly, months in advance with a roadmap. They could have said, we're transitioning older GPUs to a slower update cycle, but you'll still receive key patches. Instead, they buried it in release notes, then blamed customers for reading it. That's not strategy, that's negligence. And it shows how fragile AMD's internal communication really is. Their engineering teams build some of the best chips on Earth. Their PR teams seem to live on a different planet entirely. Moves like this ripple far beyond one product cycle. If consumers stop trusting AMD's long-term support, OEMs take notice. Laptop manufacturers, console developers, handheld makers, they all care about software reliability. If AMD becomes known as the company that abandons its architectures early, that reputation can poison partnerships for years. Nvidia doesn't just win with raw power, it wins with predictability. AMD doesn't need another performance crown, it needs stability, consistency, and honesty. 3 things that cost nothing, but seem to be in short supply. Here's the wild part. This could have been spun positively with just one honest paragraph. All AMD had to say was, we're segmenting driver updates to ensure performance stability for older cards while accelerating development for new GPUs. That's it. No confusion, no backpedaling, no damage control tour across 3 countries. But because they couldn't resist the urge to control the narrative, they lost it entirely. In trying to look competent, they ended up looking dishonest. And that's far harder to fix than any driver bug. The AMD fiasco is more than a tech headline. It's a perfect case study in how modern corporations handle mistakes. They don't apologize. They rebrand. They don't fix. They deflect. And in the process, they turn customers into skeptics. Companies love to talk about transparency until they actually have to practice it. AMD didn't just mess up a driver release. It reminded everyone how fragile corporate trust really is. Nvidia may be building the future of AI surveillance, but at least their drivers work. AMD had a chance to be the alternative, the company that stood for gamers, not corporations. Instead, they gave us mixed messages, vague statements, and a whole lot of confusion. So here's the real translation for AMD's blog post. We messed up, you noticed. And that's inconvenient for us. Until AMD learns to speak plainly, not through PR filters, not through gaslighting, it'll keep living up to the same old joke. Another massive disappointment.